So, James, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today about nutrition coaching.
That's a pleasure.
So, really, I've just got a few questions for you just to get an idea of what nutrition coaching has been like for you. So, let's just sort of delve into a little bit of what it was like before we met. So, what was your situation before we were working together?
Um, Before we started working together, my weight and my approach to food and certainly nutrition, well, actually nutrition didn't feature, but my approach to food was just out of control.
Mm,
Um, I'd struggled for years and years and years to kind of manage what I was eating, and my weight was going up and down and up and down. At the beginning of 2019, I was, I think, 112 kilos at my heaviest.
hmm
Um, and as a result of that, I then bought into lots of very, very strict, very low calorie diets.
hmm
I was, what do we call them? The
The
dust.
dust.
So I was eating dehydrated food approximations. So I lost weight through
Yeah.
that by having 4 smoothies a day or something miserable like that. And I was reaching the end of that program, and I was just really, really worried because I hadn't learned the ability to actually engage with food sensibly or engage with food in a healthy kind of way.
Yeah.
And I've been through enough of these cycles of losing the weight through eating dust to then some sort of emotional upset would happen, and then I'd start climbing again, whether it be a work issue that had kicked off, whether it be a relationship that had kicked off. But you could kind of plot my life events by looking at the graph of my weight over the last few years. You can see when something stressful, traumatic had happened.
Yeah.
And I just knew from my experience that when I've tried to tackle this on my own, I've not been successful. So I just felt it was time to reach out and to get some help and support from somebody who would kind of understand the situation I was in, and and perhaps identify with it, or at least help be able to sort of coach me and guide me. Um, because when I first reached out to you, I was finishing the dust. I was coming off the food plan,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was just terrified. I was terrified of eating conventional food again, especially carbohydrate. I was really, really worried. I didn't want to touch carbs. Carbs were the enemy.
Yeah.
In fact, solid food felt like it was the enemy. And yeah, that's why what a friend suggested you. I looked you up and we had a chat.
hmm So what made you decide that, yeah, I was the one that you wanted to work with? What was it that you made you decide to work with me?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it was because you've got experience working with gay men of my demographic.
hmm
Um, I felt that we hit it off well when we spoke. You weren't judgmental. You took on board all of the stuff that I had to say. And you put me at ease, and you helped me be honest about what my situation was.
Mm.
I think I'd already decided that to get anything out of this sort of endeavor, you've got to be 100% honest. And so when we first talked, it's like, right, these are the issues. These are the problems with compulsive overeating. These are the problems with food addiction or sugar or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just had to unpack everything and be as honest as possible. And when I did that, yeah, you were completely non-judgmental, and you responded in a really constructive way.
Good. Okay. And so what at that stage at the beginning, before you'd really sort of experienced what it was like to work with a nutrition coach, um, what were you expecting? What were you thinking that it was going to be like?
Um, it wasn't what yeah. So the reality was nothing like what I expected. I'll get that out of the way now. What I was expecting was to be given a food plan and be given recipes and be said, eat this at this time, eat that at that time, have this much of this, measure out this much of that. I was expecting to be told what to do. And at the time, that felt safe. That felt like it felt like that was what I wanted, because the reality of the situation was, by starving myself on the dust plan, I'd not learned how to manage food. And the
Mm.
thought of being responsible for my own food intake when I messed it up so dramatically in the past so many times, it scared me. And so my first thought coming to you was, right, Paul's going to tell me what to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like that at all, is it?
No.
And so what results did you get from the coaching? What was it like to be coached?
Um, well, I'll start with the results then. I mean, when we first started working together at the end of July this year, so what, 4 months ago, 5 months
Yeah.
ago, um, I wanted to be able to safely use that's the words I was using at the time, safely re-engage with conventional foods. Um, and what I wanted to do was build up healthier habits around food, be able to plan food better, and be able to sort of swap things around so I could eat what I felt would be normal and enjoyable, but I wouldn't end up putting it back all the weight. Because my big fear was that as soon as I started eating food again, essentially, that I would just balloon, that my weight would go up again. And yeah, that wasn't the reality at all. I reached this sort of notional target that I wanted. Then we started working together. I started planning my own foods, and I kind of felt reconciled at that point, if that's the right word, that my weight would stay the same. Okay, that's the point I've got to on the very low calorie diet. That's it. And so what I'm going to achieve with Paul is just cling on to that and not put it all back on again. The reality of what I gained, just in terms of outcomes, was I continued losing weight. I'm now about 9 or 10 kilos lighter than I was when we started working together. And I've not been dieting, and I've not been restricting things, well, not in the sense that I feel that I'm depriving myself. I've been choosing food based on what's in it, because I've been empowered to make better decisions because I know what's in it. And if I don't know what's in it, I know that I can WhatsApp you and send you a picture, and you can give me an idea of what your opinion is.
Yeah.
So yeah, the reality was different to what I expected. I thought the weight would just plateau, and I just thought, well, let's hang on to what I gained for the next 3 months of working intensively with Paul, and hopefully it will stick. Yeah, and the reality was just things got better, and I learned a new way to engage with food.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And so what would you say to somebody that was thinking of working with me? What would your suggestion be to them?
I think really don't be surprised at having to do the work yourself, because I was a little bit taken by surprise about this, because I honestly I thought you were going to tell me what to do. So yeah, don't be surprised to be the one doing the hard work. I mean, Paul, I'm sure you're doing lots of hard work behind the scenes there, because you're doing all the thinking. Okay, what's he going to say next? So let's pull from my bank of understanding. But I've not felt that I've been spoon-fed. I've not felt that I've been handheld. Coaching has felt more of a vigorous process. It's been something where I bring something every week to the table, no pun intended, to discuss. And I come up with my own goals. I come to you don't demand me each week, what have you eaten, what have you done, how did this work out? I've come each week saying, well, I did that, how can we make that a bit better? So yeah, what I would say to someone who's thinking about working with you is just be ready and prepared to do work.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really, really appreciate it. Take care, James.
Welcome. Cheers.